This interview is part of the History Heard project. The content of this interview may be used for historical research. However, no part of the video itself may be reproduced without the express written permission of an authorized representative of History Heard. Today is September 27th, 2012 at 11:30 a.m. This is an interview with Ambassador Anthony Harrington in Washington, D.C. He was born on March 9th, 1941 in Taylorsville, North Carolina. Ambassador Harrington has distinguished himself in a number of capacities, including attorney, businessman, diplomat, strategic intelligence expert, and philanthropist. He began his career in Washington, D.C. as a lawyer at the firm now known as Hogan Lovells. He became a senior corporate partner. While doing so, he served as general counsel to the Democratic National Committee. Nominated as ambassador to Brazil by President Clinton and confirmed by the Senate in a record 12 days, he went to Brazil with a mandate to upgrade U.S.-Brazil relations. Such was his success in this endeavor that the government of Brazil conferred on him the Order of Rio Branco, Grand Cross. Ambassador Harrington has co-founded several telephone technology firms. He has served as chairman of the President's Intelligence Oversight Board, along with other intelligence-related roles. He's now president and CEO of Albright Stonebridge Group, a global strategy firm. Ambassador Harrington, how did you become an ambassador, and why Brazil? Did you already speak the language?
I was fortunate enough to become ambassador to Brazil through presidential appointment. All ambassadors are appointed by the president, and I had spent a good bit of time, as you noted in your introduction, serving the president, excuse me, through intelligence oversight work, working with the national security team. I had previously served also as general counsel to the presidential campaign of President Clinton and Vice President Gore. It's not something I had thought of or sought myself. It was raised by the national security team. It came at a time that, well, it was a wonderful potential opportunity. Came at a time that would have been convenient family-wise and otherwise for us to do it. I was a little bit surprised, and I did what most Americans unfortunately do, where in Europe, what post in Europe is available. I came to be persuaded that it would be more productive, desirable, and so forth to go to a major developing country where you play a much larger role. Actually, then First Lady, now Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, helped focus me on, she said, forget Western Europe, you need to go to a major developing country. And like where probably it could have been Brazil or China, I went to Brazil because I could tell very quickly that it was an overlooked relationship and would probably be more fun than Beijing, as it was. Went with a mission and an opportunity to work on upgrading the relationship. I did not take the time before I went, which would have delayed my going for quite some time, to learn Portuguese. Not many Americans speak Portuguese. Sure. I studied it while I was there, but frequently had little time to study, so my Portuguese was not as good as my wife's at the time I finished. And there was just no desire to have, we'd had a hiatus of about 18 months or more without an ambassador, so the desire was for me to get on the ground quickly instead of going to language school.
I'm sure. And then as an ambassador, what were the pressing issues of the time, and how did you address those issues?
As I said, the overall mission was to upgrade the relationship. Brazil is not a country that is well known. It's a huge and increasingly significant country. It's the fifth largest country in territory and population. It's the sixth largest economy in the world, and probably will arrive at fifth pretty soon. And it has, in the years when I was there and since, come to play a large role in multilateral fora and sort of the global world stage. So a lot of it was just increasing the bilateral engagement between the U.S. and Brazil. Prominent issues were working toward freer trade, generally, and between the U.S. and Brazil. We each had and still have some impediments to free trade. We don't have a free trade agreement with Brazil, so we have some things that they don't like in our trade relationship. We have some things that we don't like, and the process of working toward increasing that, even though we still don't have increasing the trade opportunity without yet arriving at a free trade agreement. Cooperation and things like mutual legal assistance. We signed a treaty with Brazil when I was there to help each other in carrying out enforcement of laws of each country, assisting in enforcement by the other country. We supported them in judicial reform, educational reform, and other areas. And then beyond that, there was the broader international agenda on which we needed to and sought to engage with Brazil in a consultative way more intensely than we had. Whether it was there was some steps taken in UN reform when I was there, working with Ambassador Holbrooke at the UN and with the Brazilian government for the two countries to kind of lead the process of concluding that reform. We worked on issues of regional security. Fortunately, South America has been, for most of its history in recent times, relatively peaceful, and compared to much of the world today, is a particularly democratic and peaceful and relatively prosperous area. It was at a time when I was there that the internal conflicts in Colombia were significant, and we were assisting the Colombian government in preserving order and civil society there. We worked with the Brazilian government in a consultative way to cooperate on our engagement there, so that the Brazilian government felt comfortable that it was able to support President Clinton's initiatives with the president of Colombia at the time. And just generally, you have not only the engagement with the government. Beyond that, ideally the ambassador does other things. I engaged actively with the business community, U.S. business community, Brazilian business community, in promoting business. We consider my colleague and partner, Secretary Madeleine Albright in Albright Stonebridge, once said that the business of the State Department includes business. So it was very much an element of what an ambassador ought to be doing. In projecting the U.S. In Brazil, I needed to work actively with the press, with thought leaders, to travel fairly widely in Brazil and speak and engage with leaders, which I did myself, and then also with my wife, who traveled in Brazil herself without the ambassador tagging along. Brazil seems to be one of the few countries that has a dress or title for an ambassador's wife, which is ambassadrice. It's ambassador for the ambassador and ambassadrice for the wife of the ambassador. So it was really a unique time. There was an incredible president in Brazil at the time, Fernando Henrique Cardoso, who is credited by most thoughtful observers as laying the foundation for Brazil's rise economically and on the world stage. It's a man who was intellectual. He was a professor, a sociology professor, recognized around the world. He taught at major universities in the U.S. and Europe, still does in the U.S., and speaks 6 languages, 4 languages, he says fluently, but I would say 6. He also had developed a very close relationship with President Clinton, and the 2 first ladies did as well. So we had the benefit of a presidential level mutual interest. I was able to engage with that, to engage with the White House, and knew a good many cabinet members to get things done in this mission of upgrading the relationship. Then you've had 2 additional very good presidents following Cardozo. President Lula, who benefited from a very good economy and took advantage of it to carry on and advance social programs to raise the middle class, or raise people from poverty into the middle class in Brazil. And then President Dilma Rousseff now is more of a hands-on manager who realizes there are a good many reforms and actions still to be taken, and I think determined to do them.
That's so interesting.